Hello. I wanted to kind of touch base with you this week and talk about a little bit of information in the media ethics book. But before I do that, I wanted to discuss the midterm. There was one, or actually not the midterm. This was a case study. The midterm, I'm still grading, that's ongoing, so I do want to let you know that. But there was a question on the case study about internships. And it was very interesting to note the responses, and I wanted to give you some feedback. Those of you who are in the workplace, I mean, without being a full-time student, a traditional student going to school, during without a full-time job, that group of students within the class really saw very little ethical dilemma. And those of you who are traditional students who might be doing those internships for credit for your degree, your bachelor's degree on main campus, had a different view and saw that maybe the intern supervisor would be wasting the time of the individual by not giving them a more responsible task to work on, something other than mailing out. So that was an interesting for me to kind of look at the dynamic within the class. But what I wanted to bring to your attention is that these ethical case studies really depend on the perspective of the individual. And the purpose of them is getting you to think about, how do I see this, and what are the ethical issues at hand here, and what comes to mind, and what more information do I need? Because really, sometimes there isn't enough information to clearly make a decision, and more information would give you a different answer than you have initially. So I just found it very interesting. And what I was looking for, and am looking for on these case studies, is that whatever position you take, that you have a good rationale and that you can defend it, and that it's based on the ethical principles that we're learning. So honestly, what I would say about internships, coming from the perspective of someone who has placed many interns and had interns work for me, is that even if it is a menial task, if you prove yourself in that, just as the Bible says, that someone who is trusted with something small will be given more, well, it's a similar concept. If you do a good job with that mailing, or do a good job in getting the coffee if you have to, or organizing the files, that your work ethic will be noticed. And as time goes on, you will be given more and more responsibility. And the work should be done as if done to the Lord. So while doing that type of work, you will be recognized eventually. And if you aren't, the thing is to pray daily during the internship for God to give you wisdom and show you what you should do. And there are times that maybe the situation would be unethical. So sorry, don't know, he's out the office door. But so that's something you have to seek God's wisdom on, and be a good discerner of situations. But I thought it was an interesting one. Keep up the good work on that. I'm really just looking for you to take a stance and defend it and back it up with information from the text. So I've provided a link in the weekly folder to a clip from a movie, Absence of Malice, because it is mentioned in our chapter in the Patterson Wilkins book. It is mentioned, and it is a great movie that brings up journalistic concerns. If you watch the clip, that might help you to kind of understand the reference in the text. Basically, the newspapers can have a great deal of power, and nowadays that extends to online newspapers like the Voice of San Diego. I placed a clip for that too, which is a completely online newspaper supported by those who are in the readership pool. They donate money similar to PBS, so that this newspaper can express it kind of take a very objective stance on the stories that come out, rather than having a certain political swing or tendency. So if you find Absence of Malice to watch, I would suggest that. It'll be interesting to you, especially in conjunction with this class. So newspapers will put out information that can make or break someone. And that's why it's so important that fact-checking has been done, and that it's accurate and really correct information before it is published, whether it be in a newspaper, online, or on the air. There are a lot of information in this chapter talking about the economics of what's taken place in newspapers over the last few years, how since the internet has come and newspapers have been placed online and readership has declined and the subscriptions have gone down. So there's a lot of background information, and I hope you'll find that interesting. Talk of social responsibility and stakeholders versus stockholders. So that also is something that I think will be very informative to you. As you read the case studies, do start to discern and sharpen your view of your ethical stance, because you are going to be writing a personal ethics statement. So it's just interesting to be aware of the different dynamics that come to play. And I think one of the key things with these brief case studies that you're looking at is that we don't have that much information. And sometimes we have to make a judgment call based on limited information, which might change when we get more information. So as a reporter in journalism and as a PR practitioner, we're all about gathering data and being someone who can discern the truth from something that is false. Anyway, I hope you have a great week. I will get those midterms done by the end of the week. And God bless you. And if you have any questions or needs, let me know. Thank you.